never mind your liver, get to Gino spot.
Gino spot.
Get to Gino spot.
Gino spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle. Have a Gino shot.
Gino shot.
Get to Gino spot.
Gino spot.
Get to Gino spot.
Gino spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle. Get to Gino spot.
Gino spot.
Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Gino's Spot on this here Tuesday. What is it, 9th? The 9th of the 11th, not the 11th of the 9th, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Gino's Spot, and tonight we have a surprise, indeed. We thank you to our sponsors, of course, Fitch and Leeds, and to Spar. Dawn Taylor, how's it been? Watching from Kariga. How's it going in The Hague? Love your show. Thank you very much. Well, I love you too, Dawn. You're like a new dawn for me. And Gail Brackenridge as well, from the Ridge of Bracken. Welcome to the show, guys. And I see Carol Jacobs is on the ball. Look at you. She's on the ball again today. First comment in. Wow. Just like that. Wow. And I'm glad you guys are watching, because tonight we have a special. It was going to be Peter Wise tonight, but we couldn't get Peter Wise because we've got load shedding in Johannesburg, and his computer was down the whole day. And so we couldn't get him in. So we have a special guest, Ed Lunnon, popping in tonight. What a legend to come at short notice as well. He jogged all the way up from his house, indeed. And we're going to have him in the studio. It's going to be fantastic fun, ladies and gentlemen. So let me sing you a song first. Give me some comments. Let me know what you're drinking, because I've got some Fitch and Leeds here. We've got a little pink tonic. We've got the pink tonic tonight, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Very, very in touch with my feminine side, as you can see. That's right. And I've got my zebra suit on. I don't know why I put it, because I found the zebra suit and I thought, wow, that seems like the right sort of thing. All right. So now we've got also we've had power failures all over the place. And the people in Summerstrand are moaning indeed that they've had no, I don't know how long it's been, like 2 days, 3 days. I don't. It's been ridiculous down there, and I believe it was because of cable theft. They must have stolen a hell of a big piece of. Gary Hemmings was, of course, putting on his Facebook that he's got a piece of cable for sale, electrical cable. It's about 3 kilometers long and about 6 centimeters in diameter at least. Oh, my word. Indeed, Carol Jacobs, water. Are you drinking water? Well, that's very, very sad. I hope that you can put a little bit of whiskey in that at least indeed. Camilla says, hello, Camilla. Lovely to have you on. Welcome to the warmer library, people, indeed. I hope you got a drink in your hand. Thank you to Fitch and Leeds, and to Spar, and of course Amobia, our internet provider. And then tonight we have a little bit of food here from Fat Cat's Catering as well. Isn't it marvelous? Oh, look at that! There we go. Thank you very much, Gail, for Grace from Fat Cats. We've got some lovely. We've been munching on that already. We got in there before the show even. And so Ed Lunnon's in the studio, ladies and gentlemen. Let's sing a bit of a song for you. Send me some comments. Send me some comments, people, so I can sing them for you. I'll sing them right back at you. That's right. We're going to have a good time tonight. All right. Woo! Oh, a bit of Mick Jagger. We'll do that. How about that? Don't worry about the load shedding. It's going to be okay. Michael Clement. Good evening, champ, he says. Oh no, you gotta get some of my beans. And John Mann, he's there also tonight. He's had too much already. Oh, it's me, yeah. You look like you had too much already. That's right, John Mann. You make a grown man cry. You make a grown man cry. You make a grown man cry. My darling, my let's go green. I walk smooth right in a mean machine. Hey, yeah. We Fantastic. Bev Erickson, start me up. That's right. I think you better kickstart the generators. Because tonight we need a bit of solar power. That's why, the chaps from Rubicon and the guys have helped me out here with a bit of stuff. I tell you what, I bought it and I've never looked back. I've got some solar panels here. The sun was baking today and it was marvelous. So at least we got to, if we all get off the grid, it'll be okay. It's just got to get that money together. I know the money. It's a bit hectic. But you got to try and save a little of the pennies and spend it on solar panels. Let me tell you, it's fantastic. All right, so glad to be you guys could be here. Fantastic. We've got a wonderful evening planned with Ed Lunnon. We're going to find out all about Ed's adventures over his lifetime. He taught me once as well. He taught me, but we'll talk about that too. And I see lots of guys are popping online to have a quick squiz. It's fantastic. That's what Gino Spot is all about, obviously. Just being, just getting a bit of happiness out there. While there's all this load shedding and all this cut going on, and it's elections, and it's people shouting their mouths off about vaccines and whatever, and COVID. And I was just saying, I'm totally for masks and everything, but I'm so sick to death of wearing masks out in public. I can't. As a comedian, it's so hard. It's so hard to see people's expressions on their faces when they can't see their mouths. And I'm better to hear. I'm a drummer, for goodness sakes. I can't hear when people are, how's it, John Skippers? Car Park John in the house, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Hey, you better get some beers in here as well. We can have a little bit of a beer every now and again between the gin and tonics. John, I think you need to speak to your guys that are supplying the beer. I bet you get a free beers all your life. That's going to be good for you, John. You're going to have to. Car Park John, indeed, always down at Pipe Park, Car Park, if you want to go and say how's it. He's always there with the surfers, indeed. A fantastic surfing legacy himself. We'll have to have you on sometime, John. We'll have to have a chat to you too. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into it now. I don't think there's anything from this. Darren's feeling poorly tonight, so there's no what you're watching tonight. So if you've got any... It's also load shedded. Oh, she was also load shedded tonight. She's not poorly. Oh, she's not poorly. She's just load shedded. All right. Well, everybody seems to be load shedded. But I mean, if you guys are keen, put something in the comments about what you're watching at the moment as well. If you're watching a series that's quite lekker, I'm always open to checking out what's going on with the series. Come on, stick something in the comments. Let me see what's coming up there, because I've been watching a couple of things. I watched that there's a film last night about the guy who's they're planning a trip out, and his lovely girlfriend, and it's an English thing. It was quite funny. I love I've been watching The Office as well, the American Office, which is kind of overtaken the British Office for me. I thought it's called being load shat. We've been load shat. Let me tell you, we've had a whole lot of shat loading over here on the speed in Glebecha with those buggers. So Viv Jacobs says she's watching me. Well, thank you very much. I love that, Viv Jacobs. Of course, Warmer 10th Tennis Club. I remember Viv having a bit of a go there. I hope you're still playing a bit of tennis, Viv and Artie. The two of them having a go at Warmer 10th Tennis Club, and I believe still going strong. I believe fantastic. One of the oldest tennis clubs in the city, as far as I know, if not in the bloody world. You never know. Yeah, with these places. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go straight into our esteemed guest. Indeed, we're going to ask him to come across, come through. Ed Lunnon, welcome. Let's have a look. I don't know if we got. We might have to change the camera angle a little bit here, because we're sitting low down. That's right, baby. That's right. We are here. All right, so let me just check. Yeah, how's it, man? Ed, let me just check if the microphones are on. I'm going to move them out here as well. Get nice and comfy. And there we go. We'll move this one closer to you as well, so that you don't have to, shout and scream.
Shout and scream.
There we go. All right, and we're in. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know if you can hear, because, obviously you never know with streaming, Ed. Anything can go wrong at any time. It's just ridiculous how our streaming works. We say that Mr. Cockup is always just around the corner, It's a whole new thing.
And when you don't know how to operate, it becomes even more difficult.
Exactly. And, we're talking about this now because, and it's ironic because, You actually were my first computer lecturer. The first time I did computers as a subject at school, which was quite rare at that time.
Port Elizabeth had a computer centre. Cape Town had a computer centre, and I think Joburg had a computer centre.
Wow, one.
One for each city, and kids had to apply to do the course.
Yes.
And we ended up with about 30 people in class.
Yeah.
And
I remember that class.
yeah, we selected from each of the different schools.
Yes.
And you had to have A for maths, A for science, before you could even be considered.
You know, they say that. I think I begged so much to go on this computer thing that they must have lied on mine, because I was sure I was getting B's anyway for maths and science. But I was so keen at that time. And I remember, because we had the little ZX Spectrums and that thing. What, did you have any of those as well?
Yes, I had a Spectrum. It was my first computer I bought it when I was doing my military service.
Oh, really?
I bought a ZX Spectrum and used to use that as my little gadget.
Is your code with BASIC on it? Yeah,
Absolutely.
Hey,
BASIC, Fortran.
Yeah. Well, machine code. I just remember the machine code stuff that used to go into
And
that.
very few people had computers
Yeah.
of any kind.
Yes.
They used to consider that I had some weird machine in my house because it created...
It wasn't Pong. Remember Pong as well? Was the TV games? I don't know if any of you guys watching online had any of the early TV games. I think it was Atari
games
with the joystick.
And then you also had connection to the bank.
Yeah. Oh yes.
You could
Beltel.
You could dial up a number and you could phone the bank and
that was for the hectic stockbroker guys.
Absolutely.
Beltel. Wasn't that crazy? And the VIC 20, I think the VIC 20.
And the Commodore.
Yes, because they had a program on BBC that they used to do on TV as well about the VIC 20. And I used to watch that regularly.
And compare it to today, you walk around with your computer in your pocket.
Exactly. And it's so much more powerful. It's like gigs and gigs.
Absolutely.
Whereas that ZX Spectrum, I think, was a 16K. And 48K, and then they upped it to 48, and then they had a 124, it was 128 or something, and it was like, wow, there was a lot of memory.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And of course we used it for games.
Games?
Not
in the computer room.
Oh, not in the computer room. You didn't
Not
do
in
that.
the computer room. No games.
We gamed our brains out on that thing.
No games in the computer.
Because you needed the tape. On
you needed a cassette. Yeah, you needed a cassette, and that was your saving device.
Yes.
You used to save your program on
the cassette with a
cassette. And working at the speed that a cassette works at.
Yeah, terribly slow. I used to wait for half an hour for the thing to load, and then it just to implode.
We had 6 computers connected to the mainframe computer. Mainframe computer in Cape Town at the Cape Provincial Administration. So they would have to make a phone call and phone Cape Town and connect the two and then speak to each other. That's the way we used to communicate. Until one day somebody came into my classroom and wanted to know why we were playing on the government computers. They picked up in Cape Town that we were playing on
Oh, really?
And they weren't too happy about that. Somebody had asked for a disc, what do you call them? A hard drive to be loaded onto the mainframe computer in Cape Town. And that suddenly that rang a bell that there were people at Grey and PE that were working on the computer.
Isn't it amazing? I remember the projects we did then as well. We used to work with Logo.
Yes, Logo and the turtle.
The turtle. We used to have to make the turtle go up and make shapes out of the turtle. So it's crazy. I used to do it. I see there's some comments up there, Gary. I don't know if you checked out. Which is there's Gordon saying which is better, a floppy or a stuffy or a stiffy, floppy or a stiffy.
Depends whether you're in Port Elizabeth or Graaff-Reinet.
Gordon, I know where you're going with that one.
We'll cut it right there.
We'll cut it out right there, you bloody people from Graaff-Reinet. That's all you think about. in these small towns. There's Croftrenet, of course, Gordon.
Yes, yeah. Croftrenet was is one of the towns in the Eastern Cape that I've really got to know. Got to know people here, and lovely people, the Eastern Cape.
I remember. I think the last time I phoned you, you were out in Croftrenet actually.
Lovely part of the world.
Yeah.
And Croftrenet. I think if one looks at the Eastern Cape, Croftrenet is one of the few towns that is still looking good.
Yeah.
And
very much so. But as you go further down towards the Western Cape, those towns are getting more and more beautiful.
Absolutely. I saw some startling statistics in the week of how many people they expect to be in the Western Cape by 10 years' time, because everybody seems to be gravitating towards the Western Cape and the Southern Cape.
Well, I do believe that's a good thing for PE because
I haven't got that right yet.
You've got to get that right. It's catch and release, Ed. Catch your tongue on the top and just pull it off. That's it.
PE sounds still.
Yeah, it's easier. I know it rolls off the English tongue much easier. But I think that I don't really mind the fact that it's got a click in it. We can sound quite exotic overseas as well, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I went to school in the United States of America.
Oh, did you?
And people often used to ask us, do you all have electricity in Africa? And we're talking about the year 1974, 75 now. And I said, of course we've got electricity in Africa.
You couldn't say that now.
I couldn't say that now. I couldn't say that now anymore. But that was a favour that often used to be asked by Americans. Do you all have electricity in Africa? Do you all have electricity in your treehouse? And I'd say, well, what do you think? You know, nowadays, of course, we don't have it.
I don't have as much of it anyway. Oh my word! I see Alan Carter saying, "How's it there as well?" Is Alan? You know Alan?
I don't know.
I don't know Alan. Alan, how's it, Alan? We're glad you're on as well. And Gordon Wright, of course, is from Crawford. He's a great chef there.
Yes.
He's ex-PE as well, from Walmart, just up the road.
Yeah. I've travelled with Gordon a few times.
Is that
from PE up to Grahamstown. And to Port Alfred, and Croftrenet.
So have you enjoyed travelling always? I mean,
I've always enjoyed travelling. When I finished school in 1974, I had never been in an aeroplane.
Whoa, okay.
In 1975, I flew to Johannesburg, where you still wore a hat and a tie and whatever. You got
safari park.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you have a safari park?
I did have a safari park. I did have a safari park.
I had one when I was very small as well.
When I came to teach at Grey in Port Elizabeth, you had an option. Either you had to wear a full-on jacket and tie, or a safari park. You weren't allowed to wear anything else. So I used to wear a safari park because you could wear shorts with a comb down the side.
Did you do that too? The comb?
The comb was down the side.
My soul.
Yeah.
So, let's, at the moment, Ed, you say you're doing a bit of a clean out at the moment. Is it COVID's slowed everything down, I suppose?
No, it's almost the last 2 years have faded away, but nothing really happening.
Yeah.
And you can't plan anything because you never know what's going to happen.
Yes.
Whether they're going to change the dates or change the school holidays or whatever else. So you can't really plan for ahead anymore.
No, you can't. There's no. I mean, and especially with us musos or people that. You've done talks, a lot of talks before as well, and I'm sure that's all stopped during COVID as well.
Yeah, I think the COVID is just calmed everything down.
Yeah.
Those first 3 months that we sat at home and did nothing and did all kinds of strange things, changed our lives quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I lived in America for a year.
Yeah. Okay.
After I left school.
Yeah.
And from then on, I came back to Port Elizabeth, and I completed my studies. Worked at Grey, taught Port Elizabeth people.
Yes,
pupils.
including me.
Including you.
And I used to,
including
I used to ride from VP. I had to ride on my bicycle after sport, or I think because it was quite late. I think I was like probably 3 o'clock or something.
3, 4 o'clock.
Yeah. 3, 4 o'clock. So I used to ride from school down Cliff, and I used to carry my bicycle up those stairs in Mill Park to the top there.
Whilst the rugby team was also carrying
did they also go up to
up and down, a little bit
back.
of exercise,
Those stairs.
Yeah.
I used to carry my bicycle up there and then ride to computers. And I used to have to ride home again afterwards at about 6 o'clock or something. But I was so keen at that stage. Like you said, it was rare to have that stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How did you what got you into computers like that?
I was in hospital in two military hospital in Wynberg in Cape Town during my military service.
Yeah.
And I underwent surgery while I was there. And someone brought me a ZX Spectrum.
Okay, yeah.
And I used to lie in the hospital bed playing on my ZX Spectrum.
Into the TV.
Into the TV. The TV set was your screen.
Yes,
The brain of the computer was your
tape deck.
Tape deck.
Yeah.
And that was 16 Ks, I think.
Yeah, 16K. That was the first one that came out.
So I bought my first Spectrum in Cape Town, and I used to lie in hospital.
Wow.
And then took that with me when I did my military service in Oudtshoorn.
Okay, in Oudtshoorn.
In Oudtshoorn. I don't know if people can see this in Oudtshoorn, but I spent a year of my life living in Oudtshoorn. Yeah. And from there, I moved to Port Elizabeth, where I came to work at Grey. And, so that was the connection between...
It took you on.
Because I grew up in the Western Cape.
Yes.
I studied in Stellenbosch.
Okay.
Boertjie.
Yeah, near. Okay.
Okay, so studied in Stellenbosch.
Okay.
Then moved... Actually applied for a job.
What did you study at Stellenbosch?
I studied at BCom.
Okay. BCom.
Computer studies.
Okay.
And I applied for a post at a school in Cape Town.
Yeah.
And I got the post, and they phoned me up one night and said, congratulations. Baie geluk meneer, jy het die pos gekry. Mooi. But I still had to teach computer science for 1 year.
Okay.
So they were a bit concerned in Cape Town that they had an English-speaking person who was going to...
Really?
I can remember the question asked of me was, hoe sal het voel om in 'n Afrikaanse skool te... in those years, the worry was whether you were English or Afrikaans.
Yes.
They were worried that this English...
English guys are going to come in.
Absolutely.
Hulle gaan oorvat. Die swart gevaar was die rooi gevaar geweest.
So what happened was I didn't get the job in Cape Town, and I got the job in Port Elizabeth, and so Suck and Puck moved from Western Cape to Port Elizabeth. After the first time, I'd never been to this place before.
Yeah.
You know, normally when you came to PE, you drove through PE. You were going somewhere else, but you drove through.
Damn
PE.
you, Ed Lunnon! Damn you!
So it was my first experience of Port Elizabeth. Came to live here. The intention was never to live here forever in the day, but of course what happened, mommy came along, babies came along.
Were you married already?
No, I arrived in Port Elizabeth. I was still single.
Okay.
Met mommy at Collegiate.
Oh, right. There you go.
The boys came along. They started going to school, in junior school.
There you go.
So here we are in Port Elizabeth.
Yes, stayed on.
I would still go back. I better not say that.
Don't you dare.
Port Elizabeth was, I still long back to Cape Town days.
Yeah. And so you studied at varsity. You moved on into teaching, and then that was at Grey. You said Alan Stapleton was started to teach with you as well at that stage. Somebody was tag Stapes in this because Stapes
we taught at Grey. There were a group of about 8-10 of us that all started in 1984, 85.
Yeah.
So we were a bunch of youngsters teaching on the staff.
Yeah.
And if we weren't teaching at school, we were sitting at Al Grey Club.
Yes.
And if we weren't at Al Grey Club, we were sitting in Parliament Street listening to Neil Thompson sing.
Lovely, yes, at the
And,
El Cid.
At the El Cid. That used to be
Yes.
the standard place we used to.
I was across the road at Pizza Palace.
Pizza Palace.
Yeah,
Yeah, you came after us.
I was blasting away there in the blues band.
Absolutely. So we grew up in Parliament Street.
Okay, yes.
In
It was the happening place then, eh? Parliament Street.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And,
Can you remember all the places at Parliament Street? I don't know if anybody else can remember the places in Parliament Street. I see you've got some comments there as well. Stuart Potgieter saying, how's it from the USA?
Hey, Stuart.
Stuart, what are you doing over there, young man?
Where's he in the USA?
I wonder where he is. I
Where
don't know whereabouts in the USA. Mercer Skuman. It's Mersh, yeah. Good to see you.
Mercius, come on.
Yeah, here we go. Some mates of you. Ivan Newman says, greetings from East London. We love East London, Ivan. I love East London. It's my second home. And Alan Carter. Lekker. No, so it's amazing. Like, how did you spend time in the US then? You said you went down
Well, I finished school here in matric in Cape Town.
Okay, what school in Cape Town was it?
Hottentots Holland High School in Somerset West.
Hottentots
Holland. They still haven't changed the name.
Really, eh?
Yeah, I don't know how many clicks they're getting put into Hottentots Holland.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
So from there I went overseas for a year and did grade 12 all over again.
Wow.
But did two subjects which you couldn't do in South Africa.
Yeah.
I did American history and I did typing.
Typing.
We learned to type on the typewriter with a little ball that used to run up and down. But it's amazing how that assisted one in later on in years when you were using keyboard.
Yes.
It wasn't two fingers on the keyboard.
My brother was one of the first guys at VP to actually decide he wanted to do typing, and so he enlisted in Standard 6 for typing. And then when he opened the textbook and it said, the typist must cross her legs when she starts type, and he was like out of there. Oh God, okay, this is not going to work. He decided crossing his legs wasn't going to happen.
I lived in a little town in Sulphur, Oklahoma.
Oh wow.
That's where I lived and that's where I went to school.
It's quite conservative, is it?
Oh, unbelievably. When I never expected it to be so conservative. And in actual fact, that's America.
Yeah.
It's America. It's not New York, and it's not
Yeah.
it's not Los Angeles, whatever. America, the Bible Belt, is
Conservative, yeah.
conservative, extremely conservative.
Sure, yeah.
Hence, one sees the sort of results that comes
Yeah.
through in elections nowadays.
Gee whiz, yeah. So just see, Camilla's put up a post there saying that all the places in Parliament Street, Lychee Gardens, Pizza Palace, and Farmers Homes across the road was the hotel at the...
Absolutely.
At the
There used to be what was the pizza place? Not the Pizza Palace, on the other side of the road, down towards the bottom.
Tower of Pizza? That was towards Rink Street, I think, that side. And there was Lamed. I remember Lamed. And then, of course, Charles Leslie and Martin Bester had a club called the Gallery, or just below the Gallery, it was called something. Gordon Rudd, Marco and I were in typing class together. There we go.
what was the name of the restaurant at the station? It was a Tues.
Tues, yeah,
Tues, that was
absolutely. We used to play the Faith Vavanzin Vava Zanids.
Gino, we often used to, as teachers in Grey, in Port Elizabeth, it's a klein dorpie, very klein dorpie.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And of course, you used to go, and the teachers used to go out at the very faces down the beachfront. And
faces.
yeah, we often used to arrive at a restaurant and the kids just have to just disappear because we weren't seen in the same restaurant.
Yeah, okay.
Sunday nights was Tomo. Tomo used to play.
Lovely.
And Monday morning we had a standing order at the Hamburger Hut.
Oh yeah, was that the Rio Hamburger Hut?
Yes.
The one in Russell Road.
On the corner of Russell Road.
Yes, the 10 rand. This is RIO, 10 rand.
That's where we used to use the hamburger sort of to draw out the oily
stuff to
get-
soak up the booze.
I never said that.
I've heard about that, young Edward.
I speak to my two sons who subsequently have gone through grey.
Oh, yes.
And when I say, guys, I think you're talking too much, then they say, but Dad, we heard you do that when you were...
Talking too much when they come up, trying to cover the fact that they're completely
Cagney's used to be favourite.
That's the one. Solmar was also on Parliament Street. Solmar. I don't remember Solmar. You remember Solmar, Gary?
No,
Where was that?
a new one.
I don't remember. Where was it next to? I used to work at Star Wars.
Tel Aviv was the name.
Tel Aviv was that one as well. It was also Tel Aviv, I remember.
I don't remember Tel Aviv.
Schwam.
The pizza,
Shawarmas.
this is the Pizza Hut, the Pizza Palace.
Pizza Palace.
Pizza
Palace was definitely there. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
and then
became-
of course there was Pig and Whistle and
Down the beach front.
there were no traffic cops in those days. There were lots of traffic cops in those days.
Yes, there were, but they didn't look for drunk driving, apparently.
And no, life has changed.
It does.
Life has changed.
But I so remember Pig and Whistle because they used to have Gary and Zeppi playing there, and I remember all the one-man band, Gavin Weeks and those guys used to play down at those venues.
Life for me was very different going from South Africa to the United States.
Yes.
We when you stopped at the garage in the United States and filled up with gas, they used to put a Playboy through the window for you to read
Really?
whilst the gas
While
is
the gas is going in.
whilst the gas is going. So that was to keep
Oh,
a little bit of reading
I don't know
material.
what they expect you to do.
Whereas here back home they were putting big stars and big crosses.
Oh,
on.
yes. Scope magazine.
Scope magazine.
Scope magazine, that was the one.
When I did my military service, they used to put the centre page in the wash basin because there was a belief that if you left the pages in the wash basin long enough, you'd get some interesting photographs that would appear. So yeah, Oudtshoorn is part of my life.
Okay.
I still have a strange affinity to Oudtshoorn.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I would want to live there.
Yeah, no, I think it's a lovely place. So it's and of course the car is there now, which was it's quite amazing.
I think Grahamstown is going to be moving to the car
I see that, or to the tasting with Gordon, the Stoop tasting. Man, that was fantastic. I tell you what, Ed, Gordon Wright has done an amazing job with that Stoop tasting. Your old typing teacher here, Janelle Frederick.
Can you believe it?
Can you believe that?
Hi, Janelle. Janelle used to be the typewriting teacher.
No ways, Janelle. Well done on that.
She's sitting in Sulphur, Oklahoma.
Yes, oh
Talking to us
wow.
from- oh,
Okay,
brilliant.
Farmer's Home, and then Mike's Kitchen also in Parliament Street. So Mike's Kitchen was there as well. I remember that.
Yes.
Being there. That was one of the first. Yes, it was just towards the Farmer's Home there. I've been to that Mike's Kitchen. That was fantastic. It was probably one of the first
I'm trying to
ones.
think of what the other place. Yeah, Mike's Kitchen stood on the corner.
Yeah.
The Italian pizzeria across the road. It's country.
It's country. That was in Everett Street.
Everett Street.
Everett
that was
Street,
used to
yeah.
go there
Yes.
late at night because
Limelight, and then It's Country was late at night. Yes, you go there
after
after your gigs.
you'd been out for the night. You
Yes.
go across.
Because all the bands, what used to happen is all the bands used to get together, and then after their gigs they would go down to It's Country to jam. See Faith saying, Ed, you're such an inspiration. Don't lose your sense of humour. When are you coming to Cape Town again?
Oh, maybe shortly.
Okay.
Maybe shortly.
He's pining for Cape Town, apparently. He doesn't like it here with us, with Bergies here in Quebec. Richard Heath, looking good, Ed.
Hey, Richard, how are you?
Who's Richard
Richard
now?
was in my matric class.
Oh, magic. Which is 80?
I taught 84 and he wrote matric 84.
Okay.
And Richard, in later life, went on to have a horrible, terrific accident, and he's paralysed from his waist down.
Okay.
Richard, good to see you.
Oh,
Good to see
fantastic,
you.
Richard. And it's probably a good thing to talk about your illness and your diagnosis. I mean, when did you? What first of all, just explain for the people out there as well. What is it that you've got?
I was diagnosed in 1984, 85 with a disease called corticobasal degeneration,
Yeah,
CBD for short.
Okay.
It's a motor neuron disease.
Okay.
There's different names in different parts of the world. They call it the ALS syndrome, they call it whatever else. Lou Gehrig's disease, they call it in the United States. After I came back from the United States, I was teaching, my teaching phase of my career, and then I worked for retail, Pick and Pay.
Yes, yes.
Mention the name.
Yes, yes. You can mention the name, but you just mustn't like them too much.
What did they deposit? Anyway, so I worked there for a while, and then I started my own business, consulting business.
Yeah.
And it was during that period of time that we went over to the United States again.
Okay.
And we were on the what do you call them, the roller coasters.
Oh yes, roller coaster at Disney World.
At Disney World. And it was then that I discovered there was something wrong with my hand.
Okay.
And that led to me.
What were the symptoms? I mean,
I had pins and needles in my hands.
Okay.
I was those typewriters. I would type something on the typewriter and it wouldn't be what was appearing on the typewriter.
Really?
So I would type thinking it was the right thing and it was not. So that was the second thing that started. And I couldn't shave.
Okay.
I was holding my hand and I was shaving.
Wow.
Because I couldn't.
Was it because there was a strength?
There wasn't strength. And so gradually those symptoms started going, excuse me, and I was sent back to Cape Town, and this is where the Cape Town boffin said, oh, "Guy, you've got motor neuron disease,
Okay.
and I want you to go back to Port Elizabeth. I want you to pack your goods, put your things in a box. You've got 5 years left."
Man, but you know, for a doctor to say that, he's got to be sure about it, and
he also did tell me that he may be making a mistake, and that maybe one day I would come back to him and he'd have to relook at the diagnosis and the prognosis. Well, here I am. 15.
But he told you to sell up all your stuff.
Exactly, and he said to me, maybe one day you'll come back and sue me. I actually saw the doctor a couple of months ago, and we passed in the corridors, and he said, "Mr. Lunnon, it's time to come and talk to me." So I'm not quite sure what the meaning is behind it. I've often wondered the legalities behind this thing. What would have happened had I not been told this was the diagnosis?
Yes, yes.
If I would have lived my life any differently to the way I've lived it, because I've been sick now for 15 years.
Yeah.
Gradually,
it's supposed to be 5 years. That's 15.
Yes. And gradually, I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I can see.
You can see there, those fingers are just about gone.
Yeah.
My right hand is starting to go the same way. The left leg is all the way.
Okay, so you lose the muscle.
The connection between the brain cells and those particular
muscles.
What happens is there's a chemical called dopamine.
Yes.
And your certain brain cells manufacture dopamine.
Yes.
And so a normal person constantly is having the dopamine replaced by the brain.
Okay.
In my case, my brain is not making dopamine.
Okay.
So the connection between the brain and the tongue and the arms and the legs and whatever becomes problematic. There is no connection, and eventually you become totally paralyzed.
Okay.
So
it's a kind of paralysis.
It's a slow
paralysis.
Slow paralysis, and some people in Port Elizabeth, many of us will know Mandy Gurr.
Yes, Mandy Gurr, of course, brilliant singer. I did a couple of shows with her.
Yes, and she's been sick, I think, for something like 20 years.
Yeah.
A similar sort of illness.
Okay.
Just illness.
Just
People in this country know the disease as Tues disease.
Yes.
As we spoken about
Lou
Gehrig. If you say Tues disease, if somebody says, "What moet jy doen?" then you say,
self-das Joost.
Self-das Tues, and they know exactly.
They know the story.
They know the story. So the easiest way, if you feel like talking, because you can talk forever and tell people about your illness.
Yeah.
So if you feel like talking, you can say ek het Tues 'n probleem.
Siekte.
It's a siekte.
Yeah.
If you don't feel like talking, people would ask you a question about your illness.
Yeah.
I would often just to get out of the conversation.
Yes.
I would say, oh, I'm in the insurance business.
That's a good
So
one to
if
get out.
you go to a party, if you go to a party and somebody says, oh, the Ed Lunnon, Gino, and then who? Okay, South Africans ask two questions of people who they meet for the first time. The first question is what kind of car do you drive?
Yeah.
And second question is what do you do for a living?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Those are the two questions they normally ask. If you drive a good enough car, then you can be part of the conversation. If you drive if you drive a not so fancy car,
like a Japanese.
then you don't perform part of the group. So that's the way people group you.
They put you in a status group.
In a status group. So
They say BMW.
So if you don't feel like talking, then you say, oh ja, so, wat doen jy vir lewe?
Yeah.
Dan jy sê nee, ek is in die assuransie besigheid. I mean the insurance business. And
that's very nice.
Very nice, and they move off to somebody else.
Yes,
They don't
they
want to talk about exactly.
You're going to sell them a police.
Exactly. So there we are. I'm 15 years, going on 20 years, I think, with one really counts, that I've been sick.
Yeah.
And being sick, being a sort of, I don't know, misnomer for what they do know is that they actually know very little.
Okay.
They don't know what causes the disease. It's not hereditary. It's not caused by anything they know of.
Not genetic.
It's not genetic. It's a case of you've got the illness.
Yeah.
We can't do anything for you. We can give you pills which will make your life a little bit more comfortable. We can give you medicine and this and whatever else. But there's nothing out there that
can fix it.
That can fix it. We even take it back. Make you a little bit better.
Yes.
You just progressively get worse and worse and worse.
You almost need some sort of regeneration or something.
Problem, of course, is in worldwide and in South Africa, so very little money is spent on these sort of illnesses. They spend money on cancer. They spend money on COVID. But because there are many people with these illnesses. Of course, yes. Whereas there's 5 or 10 of us.
Yeah.
When I was diagnosed, I was the only South African that had CBD. Wow. The last I heard, there was something like 10. Yeah. But I think it varies around that figure. So yes, that's what happened. From working, suddenly becoming somebody who's getting rid of all your assets and preparing for whatever you believe comes.
I mean, getting a diagnosis like 5 years to go, how does that change the way you look at things, you know?
Well, you look at things from a material point of view. You get rid of all your material things. Okay. You don't buy new clothes, you want whatever else.
No new clothes?
My children are very embarrassed. I'm still wearing the same Brooks that I wore 20 years ago.
Stokies and Longbrook.
Stokies and Longbrook. My kids are embarrassed with my clothing. I open the wardrobe and Dad, where do you get this out-of-door stuff?
So, I mean, but it must change your outlook,
So from that point of view, you're told you've got 5 years left. You're told, so, why go and buy new clothes or why go and do whatever? Yeah. I was forced a while ago to buy a new pair of jeans, and I couldn't believe how much clothing had escalated in price from 10 years ago. Yes. I mean, the price is just unbelievable. I mean, I'm used to picking up a pair of jeans, and this will be about $50 or whatever.
No.
Nowadays,
like $600, $800.
Exactly.
If you're lucky. I think
if you're lucky. So that's my illness. I live with it on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
I've got a bad sense of humor. I think that's helped me a hang of a lot.
Yes.
In getting through life. Yeah. I've had opportunities to speak people in Cape Town, to
Yes.
speak to people in New York, to speak to people in Canada, to speak.
You became a spokesperson for a while there. I'm just going to move
Yes,
the mic.
Yours put me out of a position.
Oh, did he? Damn, Joost.
He was collecting money.
All right.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, so you spoke a lot for the guys.
It kept me busy.
Yeah.
Kept me, and then what happened was Lance Duplessis, who was also an ex-pupil of mine.
Yes.
Lance and I chatted one day, and he said, Lance is a radio, he's a radio presenter.
Radio DJ, absolutely extraordinaire.
Radio Algoa.
Yes.
And
Algoa FM.
Algoa,
now.
sorry,
No,
Algoa.
you can't say radio.
Algoa
That's
FM.
very much showing your age.
Anyway, so Lance was a broadcaster on Algoa FM, and he said, Ed, come along and I want to ask you a few questions on air.
Yeah.
And so I went along on Wednesday, and Lance started asking me a few questions. Then the next thing, the telephone started ringing, and people started phoning in and wanting information about this and that and the other. And from that, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and people would phone in, and I kept a diary of all the answers and the questions and the whatever that people. But it just became too big for me to speak on the radio, to organise people, to that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then one of the symptoms of my illness is I'm forgetful. So
It's fine.
I can always blame if I'm being forgetful
I
too.
think we've also got that as well. Forgetfulness for sure.
Anyway, so this thing just boomeranged and got bigger and bigger, and I started writing notes, and I had my website, and people started writing to the website, and it was far easier for me to communicate. Facebook, in my mind, because it was I started using Facebook and made it easier.
Yes,
made it easier
2007
to communicate, and so gradually Facebook started being my means of communicating.
Yes.
And of course, over the years, that it just absolutely skyrocketed. Nowadays, there's so many people on Facebook that it's actually become, for me, unpleasant to try and keep going.
It does get a bit hectic out there.
I think it's moved away from its initial.
Yes.
And it's just become difficult.
Yeah. We used to have, what was it called? MRC? Was it the chat rooms that we had? And then of course, the MyPE bunch. I don't know if you were ever involved in the MyPE thing.
I was involved in so much. It's amazing.
Those chat rooms and things that were available.
I used to. There was an Afrikaans one. Trying to think.
Right.
There's an Afrikaans chat, but I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
No, they're showing our age here.
And Mixit, of course, was the
Mixit and that all sort of grew and then died away.
Yes.
And
from Beltel to Facebook to Mixit. Oh my word. So you did this thing with Lance for quite a while.
Well, what started off as a Wednesday once-off conversation became a 4-year every Wednesday sit down and talk about the illness. And when I say sit down, we used to sit, Lance would come up, something's happened, let's have a chat about this, and how do I feel about that, and people would phone in, and it became really popular. People from Grafennet through to Riversdale were listening in, and of course the area that they had to broadcast in is large. So I had things happen to me, like we'd fill up with petrol at the garage, and as soon as you spoke to the petrol jockey, he said, "Praat meneer nie op die radio nie." It was amazing how one's voice becomes popular. Well, not popular, it becomes knowledgeable to people. And whether you were filling in petrol, whether you were
buying shop
and talking too loud in a restaurant, which I tend to do. People recognize your voice. You sit in a restaurant and you would see people would listen, and then they'd sit and look away, and then they'd listen, and then they'd say, "Excuse me, don't you speak on the radio?"
Yeah. That's it. But do you think that, I mean, I see what Lance also must have seen as well in terms of the fact that because you had this diagnosis, this thing, you had outlived your years already. You're living on borrowed time, basically.
Absolutely.
And that gives you a different perspective on life. Well, what is important to you? What are the things that are important to you as opposed to the things that you have got rid of?
I think one. Oh, there's just so many things.
Yeah.
Make use of the time you have.
Mm-hmm.
Make use of those couple of minutes that you have.
Yeah.
Utilize that time, because it's so short. I think we've seen it now with COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, because people have, you know, Gary, we were talking just before the show about this, and Gary was saying like people have all of a sudden died of COVID during this plague, you know, and it's almost like this perspective that you were told 5 years, and that's like that's a hammer blow, you know, and now. It's so strange to think that you've lived this time, you're living in borrowed time, but there's so many people that have just been cut off like that as well during COVID. It's like, why does that happen? How does that happen? You know,
why me? Why me?
Yeah, sure. Why them? Whatever, you know.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And I think one is going to, and I'm not very good at this.
Philosophy.
One has got to philosophize about life, and one has got to make use of life.
Yeah.
As much as you can, because it's over in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
And we, myself included, we sometimes don't realize what we are missing out by not utilizing every minute of the day. Every time.
Philip is asking there, is motor neuron disease similar to, or same as muscular dystrophy?
No, it's not. Muscular dystrophy is where the muscles don't work.
They waste
away. Often it's your own muscles that I'm not sure of the exact medical term.
So it's not the neuron,
it's not the connection. Motor neuron disease means that you can't get can't get the connection from your brain to whichever muscle. Whereas what was the...
said muscular dystrophy.
Muscular dystrophy is a problem with the muscle, the actual muscle that wears away.
So it's something different. I mean, these the neurons. So how does that affect your affects your hands? Your thing? Does it go for the extremities first and organs? It would appear organs and stuff. You know, you think.
I haven't thought that far ahead.
Okay.
The muscles lose the connection with the brain.
In your case, has it happened with the...
It started in my left hand.
Okay.
It is progressively gone up my left arm, my left side.
Okay.
A little bit on the right side.
Yeah.
But it affects you like you can't believe. Like putting on a shirt is a mission. Having a shower is a mission.
Yeah.
Getting up in the morning is a mission.
Yeah.
Turning over in the bed, lying from your left side to your right side. It doesn't. You don't just roll over. You sort of have to wiggle your way and get yourself over onto the other side of the bed. So brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Shaving becomes a problem.
Okay. So just basic things as well.
We never give it a thought. We never give it a thought when we live our life.
Yes.
And you don't believe it that there are people out there that this happens to.
Yeah. How's it affected you mentally? Like I mean, we were talking before, and you said you weren't really a person who got depressed or thing, but so you've really kept your...
You've got to keep your mind straight. You've got to keep it fast. You've just got to, and often if you do start becoming depressed, this is the place, the brain is where you've got to start working at first of all to because if you let that go, then you let yourself go.
Yes, yes.
So yeah,
So you've always kept positive then?
not always.
Is it?
Not. I think mostly you keep positive, but there are the days that you feel down.
Yeah,
There are the
yeah,
days where you say, "Why me? Why must I be the person?"
How do you get past it though? How do you do
It's a
that?
case of getting busy and doing things, keeping your mind off,
Practical.
and keep getting practical. Going to do another talk. Go and do this. Go and do that.
Okay.
So you've got to find things to do.
Yeah.
I mean, this morning, today's been a horrible day in terms of what has happened. From early this morning, the bank, the low lights and whatever, until
Load shedding.
the invitation to come and talk here tonight at
Yeah.
4 o'clock. So it's been a horrible day.
Yeah.
And I get tired very quickly.
Yeah.
And about an hour ago, you should have seen me shaking, because
Really?
when my body gets tired, it starts shaking.
Oh, really?
It's shaking. So at 4 o'clock, I was shaking with the little tablets in bottles, which you can
Take a bit.
take a bit of whatever.
Does the gin help as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Where's
What's
the
happened to
gin
my
bottle?
gin?
What's happened to the gin? I don't know where it went now.
So, yeah, in actual fact, the gin, I do enjoy my gin, but the medication that I take, I live on something like 15 tablets a day.
Yeah.
Gary, are you finding a gin
I'm
pass?
finding his gin for you. Where did your gin disappear to? Oh, there it is. There we go.
Yeah, in the cupboard.
Oh, that's right. We got the gin back for you. Your throat must be parched.
Absolutely, I'm going to have a quick sip and then we're going to talk some more.
Yes, absolutely. So that's interesting that you've really kept it together mentally, over that time, because that's like I said, a hammer blow to you, that kind of thing.
You, I think you keep it together through your family who help you, through friends that help you, through just that whole setup of assistance.
Yes. So your structures around you. That is important.
People offer to help and to this and to take you here and take you there.
Yeah.
One of the things is that my driver's license has been taken away, so I can't drive. That to me has been the worst.
Yes.
Of not being able to drive.
It's got independence.
Yeah, it's gone. Thank goodness for what you call the taxi.
Yeah, Ubers.
Ubers, thank you.
Ubers and Bolts and
But they also become a bit expensive.
The Ubers are great like that. But
They're nice to use them once or twice, but when you start using them
all the time,
they become a bit expensive.
So you know what it feels like then for those old buggers, the grannies and grandpas that have to stop driving as well. I see. Does it affect children or just adults? Philip is asking as well.
Now you've caught me.
I wonder.
I don't think I've not heard. I've heard of the youngsters of 28.
Yeah.
In actual fact, I had a phone call from a gentleman in Paarl in the Western Cape in Paarl.
And in Paarl, yeah.
And he has just been diagnosed.
Okay.
And he phoned me and had a million questions, but he's a youngster.
Okay.
And so he phoned up and we had a long conversation.
Sure. Yeah, it's good. I mean, there's so much that you can impart to somebody like that as well.
Absolutely.
That same journey that they've got to go through still.
Absolutely.
I see Rob Taylor's in the house.
Hey, Rob Taylor. Rob Taylor, also one of my
radio
pupils.
man.
From whom the bell tolls. That is what I once told him in a mathematics class.
Oh, yeah, what is that?
For whom the bell tolls. This is Matric 1985 at the bottom there. Hello, boys.
The divider in maths was used to jab the ass of the guy in front of me. According to Ed, it wasn't. He kicked me out of maths for good. For whom the bell tolls. Matric 85. So he was jabbing people in the ass with his divider.
Rob Taylor is also a radio announcer.
Yes, absolutely. I see Janet Hornsby saying looking good. Janet Hornsby. I always think of Hornsby House.
Janet came from the United States. She also lived we were in class together in Sulphur, Oklahoma.
Okay. Gee whiz, you still got a lot of people.
I've got, and that's the problem. That's where Facebook came from.
Yeah.
I have such a wide connection group of people.
Network of people.
There's a whole family of, I call them my family. They're not really my family, but there's a whole family of my friends and family who live in the United States.
Okay.
Just bear in mind that I've travelled in the United States from Canada right up there in the north all the way down to Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico.
Down in the south, and from Los Angeles in the east all the way to New York in the east,
really
west, all around. I've seen more states than the United States than most Americans have seen.
Okay.
So I was very fortunate, although I lived in this little town of Sulphur, which is not much bigger than
with the Hague.
Niemandsdorp.
Okay.
The Hague, I think, is bigger than. So this is the little town I lived in, and what was I saying? I was saying something else before we started. The amount of travelling that I've done in the United States. So I was very fortunate in being able to travel. And you know, somebody would say, I'm going to LA for the weekend, you want to go with? I'm going to Houston, you want to go with?
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of the USA.
Yeah. Okay, Ed, I think it's time for some of these questions here. We've got the getting to know you section. Let's do.
Getting to know you, getting to know all about you.
Is that Julie Andrews? I can't. It is Julie Andrews.
Julie Andrews.
Oh my word! Now, what is the best thing that's happened to you this year?
Has anything happened this year?
Yeah, a lot for me. This show has been one of the things that's been good for me.
What is the best thing that has happened to me this year?
Have you had a good thing happen this year?
I can't think.
Other than the bank and all the other cuck that went wrong.
No,
today.
today's the wrong day for me to be here.
Exactly.
Today's the wrong. Maybe low down on the list.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything specific. There's been trips to Johannesburg. There's been trips to Cape Town. There's been. It just never seems to come.
A bit of travel. That's
bit
nice.
of travel. I enjoy that.
Yeah,
I
that's
enjoy
nice.
it.
Any hobbies or recreational activities that you like to do in your spare time?
Now, what do you think is my hobby? Computers.
Computers.
Why did I way back then?
Yeah, you still get it.
Why I was playing with machines, computers, and all this. So I'm still a computer fanatic.
Okay.
But in a different sense.
Yeah,
What used to be my work, what used to be suddenly become my play.
Yes.
So my hobby became my work to a large extent.
So computers still you enjoy.
I love computers. Not from the point of view of using it to do things, but to actually pull the thing apart and to.
Okay, so for the hardware side as well.
Hardware side as well, yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, with my illness, is that I can't hold a screwdriver.
Yes.
I can't hold a knife and fork. I can't hold a bloody. And I shake a lot. So even just trying to.
So frustrating.
It's extremely frustrating. The other thing that my illness, my eyes are affected.
Oh really? Okay.
So as the disease progresses, you start seeing less and less, and they can't give you new lenses and make it whatever. So that's unfortunately where you go. So you lose your sight, you lose your muscle tone, all that sort of thing.
So is there anyone that you respect with views contrary to your own? And what do you respect about them?
Now we're digging deeply.
There we go.
When did you tell me this?
This is the Gary Hemmings question, this one, man. I like that idea of like somebody that you still respect, but you really don't agree with what they say.
I think of one person that I don't have respect for him. I can change it slightly, but there's the current the previous
United States
United
president.
States president.
No.
I cannot believe that any person could have the views that he has and says what he does. And I can't believe that however many million Americans actually voted
for him.
and that he's preparing for the next election.
Unbelievable. It blows my mind, it does. Who has been the kindest to you in your life?
Who's been the kindest to me in my life? since I've been ill,
Yeah.
most people are kind. They're willing to help. They're willing to give assistance. So I think when you've got the illness, I don't know if people feel sorry for you, whether it's genuine empathy.
Yeah.
But one can't single anybody out. Everybody is so aware of your disabilities.
Yeah.
And
Do you think that, I mean, I look at people and I often, I am, maybe I'm being over positive or, you know, but I do believe that everybody tries to do the right thing, tries to be good.
especially when things are bad.
Yeah. There's got to be the odd person.
You know,
that's
the
like
wind blows
off
the
chart.
house down, the neighbours come and help out.
Yeah,
Yesterday
exactly.
they weren't talking to each other.
Yes, yes.
So
Yeah.
I always say it's the bad things in life that bring the good out in
Yeah.
people. And I think we don't see that, whether it's a flood, whether it's
Or the plague.
the plague,
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
People,
I was just talking to Grace from Fat Cats before she goes, and we really were discussing the fact that if one thing COVID has done, it's brought the community together, that we need each other. We need each other to survive. And a lot of those things have just, those previous arguments or competition between each other, you know, especially in the same industry, has disappeared.
sorry, our little street over in Ryan Street.
Yeah.
It's not a very busy street. It's
Okay.
a tiny little street up next to the golf course there.
Okay.
But over the COVID time, it's amazing how people. Then we have braais on the balcony,
Love
on the
that.
strip. We get together. We have
Yes.
drinks on the whatever else. So people come from all over and they join our little.
Isn't that bloody marvellous? You know?
Absolutely. I mean, it wouldn't
Street
have happened.
braais.
Wouldn't have happened had not
Yeah.
been for.
For lockdown, because that lockdown was the first time when we couldn't go out, so they had street braais. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Jonathan Peach. So
Jonathan
nice,
Peach,
Ed, well,
yeah.
well done.
Jonathan, where's Jonathan in Joburg? I'm not sure where he's going to pick
Where
it up.
are you now, Jonathan? Ed wants to know.
Jonathan is the cousin of my wife, Pira.
Okay.
And Pira teaches, we never even got there.
Yes.
I taught at Grey.
Yes.
I married Pira, who taught at Collegiate.
Okay. Yes.
And also and now teaches at Grey Junior.
Okay.
My late sister passed away a couple of years ago. She taught at Grey and Collegiate.
Wow. Okay.
My brother-in-law teaches at Grey.
Yeah.
We're all this interconnected family. In the school system.
And teaching in
And
teaching
all
industry.
teachers. We're all teaching in the same industry.
It used to be teachers and nurses, didn't it, in the old days?
Well, I was in the hospital
Mm.
a couple of weeks ago. Had some surgery done and whatever else.
Okay.
And what you said
Yeah.
for me?
Yeah, for the nurses and
Oh, for the nurses
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
teachers. I don't know what's happened to those good old nurses, because they certainly weren't in that hospital.
They
They
give you a hard
changed.
time,
I evidently had a fight with one night.
Oh, is it? Oh, just
I didn't
anesthetic.
remember the next day.
the
The
anesthetic.
nurse told me to lie in the bed, and I didn't want to lie in the bed.
Anesthetic can do that to you as well.
Blame
you
it
know?
on the anesthetic.
Yeah, true, it's true. When have you, in your life, have you felt most alone?
Yo,
What would you say?
what was that? They're deathly quiet. When do I feel most alone?
Yeah.
Most alone when I need people around me.
Yeah.
I need
Are you
people.
people person,
I need
Roberta?
people around me, and if I have to spend time alone,
Yeah.
I'm not in good company of
Yeah.
myself.
Okay.
Okay. So in times where I've been by myself,
Yeah. Not as good.
not as good. No,
Yeah.
I would imagine are the worst times
Yeah.
when you're sitting alone.
Yeah. So physically, so you certainly are a people person. You enjoy that social thing. I think I'm totally there with you. I think I'd be miserable if I was on my own all the time. I need to be with people. And they always moan at me after the gigs. Gino's always hanging around with everybody after the gigs, you know. We want to go home.
Yeah.
Or you like that as well? You want to hang around after
I want to hang around after the dogs. And the problem is that one can't drink too many dopes and take the medication.
Yes, of course.
I go through about 15 tablets a day.
Wow, okay.
And so you've got to make sure you take your tablets.
You have a little box.
We've tried many ways. My wife had a little box, and now it's a different way. It gets put in different places in the kitchen, and it gets packed out. Occasionally, we make a mistake, and I take the pills at the wrong time, and then things go a little bit haywire.
Obviously, Pierre's been a stalwart for you.
I think you are completely dependent on your family.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to your family.
Yeah.
So yes, Pierre and the boys who brought me here tonight. Who's going to take Dad to warm up? Dad in warm again. Thank God, children get driver's licenses.
Yes.
Eventually,
I just spent a night with your son, Sean, and of course I was with him when he was still with Maritime and that bunch as well.
I hope he behaved himself.
He behaved himself very nicely.
Sure.
He was, and in the we did the NSRI Golf Day.
Yes.
It was a magic success. It was fantastic.
And he was involved in it.
He was involved there with the NSRI, of course. He showed me the boats. I've got an amazing new boat.
Yeah.
Sebastian Ridgway saying, "Welcome back, Radio Man." There we go.
That's from Gordon's Bay. That's from the
Gordon's
Strand.
Bay.
That's from the Strand. That's my hometown.
Excellent.
Green was my valley. I always talk about how green.
Dion de Toy, I think what are they called? Generation Gap. The band that plays there. Dion de Toy plays in Gordon's Bay. Jonathan Peach just back Paul. The Build It Weekend. Yeah. Jonathan, excellent man. Yes, the Build It Weekend indeed. That was
last I saw them, they were in Franschhoek.
Okay.
It's a cousin of Pierre's
Okay, well, I just saw him now this last weekend because we were there at the Build It function together at Shelley Point.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
We had a whole bunch of gigs this weekend because things are kind of opening up.
So Alan Stapleton was there?
He wasn't actually there. It was Stephen Schaefer and the Build It bunch because he's with the Spa.
Okay.
So the Build It bunch are a different bunch there.
They don't
yes, Rob Lister and the guys, they're all in there and they all played golf and they had the Namibians there. And I must tell you a little story. It was it's an aside because as a guy on stage, you've got to watch yourself. They came with this as I finished my set, they came with this snuff. No, Gino, you got to take snuff. So I'm like, snuff? That's snuff, right? No. So I'm like, well, it's nice, but tobacco, I do snuff. But they got this machine, okay? So they put the machine down and it's got like a long tab on it and a little hammer. And they say, put your nose there and then sniff in, and then when you're going to count to 3, sniff in. And I sniffed in and then I smoothed that hammer thing and that snuff shot into my brain, Ed.
You get the disease.
Jeez, I thought my head was going to explode. Anyway, that was the Build It Weekend there, Jonathan Peach.
Letting out family secrets.
Those Namibians are insane, completely.
Letting out family secrets.
And Paul, yes indeed. So okay, so let's have a look. Anything funny you can remember which has happened to you, or a funny situation that you found yourself in, whether it be in one of your talks or whatever, your work somewhere.
Man, alive.
Put me on the spot,
You're putting me on Gino's spot.
Yes,
putting me on Gino's spot.
No, we like to do that. It could be the teaching. I see Rob was poking people with.
Out of my teaching career, I often cross paths nowadays with older people. I taught. Yes. Now there's very little difference between, when you were teaching, you were 20 years old, and,
of course,
and
they were 14.
They were 14 or 15 or whatever, and they were kids, and you were teachers, and over the years, you seem to get closer and closer together. Yes. So I will often see kids that I taught at school. I had a phone call the other day from somebody that I taught, and he phoned me to say thank you for giving him the key to the computer room, because he wasn't actually a candidate student, and I used to give him the key, so when we weren't there, that he could go and work on the computer.
Wow.
His life has grown from clandestinely working on the computers.
Isn't that the best kind?
Yes.
When it's like, yes, you gotta play.
From that point to today, he's making a lucrative salary out of computer work.
Wow.
So he wrote me a letter and he phoned me to thank me for what I had done for him. Because he said he would never have gone ahead in computers had it not been for that me and giving him the key. So that is things like that. People just on the street corner suddenly see you in a way.
Yeah.
But it's those sort of the teaching.
Yes.
Teaching is a very unique profession.
It's a vocation.
Absolutely. And so I would say that the things that I've learned from teaching are I always used to say that I used to get the check in the supermarket, but it certainly didn't have the same value that you got.
Yes. So it's a soul value.
Absolutely.
When you worked when you were talking about working at Pick and Pay, so your check was bigger at Pick and Pay when you worked there, but your soul was replenished.
Absolutely.
On teaching.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think the teachers all agree with or would agree with that. You know, I see Sebastian Ridgway saying, "Is there a cheesecake on that stand?" Okay. There's no cheesecake here. We'll have to ask. We'll have to ask Grace next time for some cheesecake. I don't know what these are. These are little.
Sebastian is my eldest sister's son-in-law.
Oh wow!
And Sebastian's wife works at the Mount Nelson Hotel in Cape Town.
Oh, nice connection.
Lovely
there.
cheesecake if you ever in Cape Town.
Okay.
So
I see.
they have 11 o'clock tea sessions, like high tea. And you just go and have tea there.
Sebastian, send over some insulin because we're going to need it soon. I see Lynn Wolhutter.
Can you read that? Because I can't even see that.
That little one, Lynn Wolhutter, says there, lovely to see you, Ed.
I always love seeing people that I either taught or it's brilliant. My sisters call me the reunion man because I'm always organising reunions.
Okay.
I'm always planning reunions.
So you're nostalgic.
And I'm nostalgic. Yeah. Whether it's functions here, there, everywhere, and I'm glad to see that my son is also getting that feeling of planning and doing things.
Absolutely, the golf day was fantastic. Let me tell you, Sean did a fantastic job, and next year it's going to
chip
grow.
off the block. Block.
And I think I'm going to be doing my comedy there next year as well. We'll see. What do you wish you'd known when you started out?
I wish I'd known to travel.
Yeah, okay. So that's advice that you would give to your younger self?
I would give that advice. Travel as much as you can before you get all the other things that happen. Travel. Get it.
Okay.
The world is beautiful. And there's just so much to see out there. And we often just drive right past it and see it.
It's true, and there's so much to learn from traveling as well. About
absolutely, learn about different cultures, learn about other people, learn about. I think traveling, and yet when I went overseas for I must have been one of a handful of people that actually went overseas in those years. It wasn't a well-known pastime.
Yeah.
People went overseas. Nowadays, every second person has gone overseas by the time they're in Standard 8. Yeah. They're on a tour here and they're this year.
I think certain countries travel more.
Americans and the
Germans.
The Germans travel. You come across them often. Americans, I said Americans.
Dutch.
The Dutch.
They also do.
The Chinese.
Yeah.
I was in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And that whole area of Canada is becoming more and more popular with the Chinese who come across from Japan and from China.
Of course, from that side.
From the other side.
From the other side, yes.
From the world.
Turn the world
around. Americans cannot understand. They cannot understand because Americans think they are the only people in the world. Besides the electricity thing, Americans, they cannot...
Only in America,
Their maps, they have a map of the world. Guess which continent is in the middle of the world?
Of course.
America sits in there, and Africa gets pushed that way.
Well, they talk about this Eurocentric maps that they make, you know, where countries look bigger because they're flattened out.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So,
Greenland looks massive, but it's
actually a small little island.
Yes. Yes. Do you have any strategies to make big decisions?
I've never had a big decision to make.
You reckon?
Surely
there must have been.
Well, there's obviously things like getting married, having children, buying a house.
Do you just go by gut feel, or do you?
I think I'm pretty much a gut feel person.
Okay.
I'm very much,
So more spontaneous.
Yeah, I see something and I like it, I buy it.
Go. Do it.
Go for it, do it.
Do it, buy it. It doesn't matter about food.
No, food counts.
Smiler Smith says, "How's it beautiful, Ed? You inspired many. Stay positive." Class of '88. Smiler, I'm with you. Class of '88. Hagen's mate, of course. Smiler, he featured in all Hagen's. He featured in all the Hagen's books. And we see him a bit at the golf club every now and again. Okay. Smiler, fantastic. And Smiler will remember all those places in of course, Parliament Street. Remember all the posies in Parliament Street because he was there. All right. The craziest, most out of character thing you've ever done?
The craziest thing I've ever done.
Yeah. So out of character or
totally out of character. I'm too prim and proper for doing strange things. Out of character.
So you are quite conservative in that way.
Yeah, I am actually. Too. Yeah.
Have you ever had a time when you've done it, like me taking snuff in a machine that moves it with the hand?
I've used the machine. Yes, I've used the machine. Yeah. Remember I told you about the magazine that they used to put at the garage? They used to give you the snuff box as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was for the part-time.
Is that what a snuff box is? Is it that hammer thing? How did they put it? When did you put it on your...
Put it on your...
Yeah. So you did a bit of snuff as well?
A little bit of stuff. Of course, it's all legal nowadays.
Of course,
it's all legal nowadays, unless you don't trade it with your neighbour. I'm not sure what the laws are. We have the most magnificent laws in this country, and they don't apply any of them. So.
Yeah, no, it's true. Have you got any superstitions?
No, I don't have any superstitions.
Nothing?
No, not at all.
Not even like you're worried about ladders or...
Nothing at all. I walk under the ladder.
Black cats?
No, there's no superstition.
You don't walk around the cracks when you walk on the pavement?
No.
Okay, Anton Muller, good to see you. Great to see you still going strong, he says.
Where's Anton Muller?
Anton Muller.
With you, that's my brother-in-law.
Is that there he is? There he is saying, how's it? He's online.
Oh, lovely.
Says, Jonathan Peach says, Ed, I could tell a few stories, but your family.
We'll have a continuation.
Bring him on, Jonathan. Don't be scared. Anything you own that you truly cherish?
I was going to say my computer.
You can't say that.
Everything I own. Yes. I don't own anything anymore.
Something old that you have that you love.
I have an old photograph album.
Oh, you like that?
Which was my grandfather's photograph album.
Okay.
And amongst the things I'm doing at the moment is putting all those sort of things.
Okay, so you're clearing out at the moment.
I'm clearing out and trying to get less stuff. Consolidate, that's the word. Yeah.
Putting it all together. So
what I'm doing at the moment is just trying to put it all in decent filing format and that sort of thing. I don't think I remember.
It's because you're a hoarder.
I'm an absolute hoarder. No, I'm an absolute hoarder.
Eastern Sun Events, that's Denise Kemp.
Denise came, my neighbour from St. Francis. Hello, Denise.
Were you in, of course you were in the place that burned down, eh?
No,
were you the one that set the fire?
The fire stopped just next to us.
That's what he said. Ed wasn't Brian that night. That was the big fire.
The big fire of the 80s.
Indeed.
Big fire of the 80s.
There was one, but there was one more recently. There was one in 2015 or something.
I've been connected with Royal Wharf. It's
Royal Wharf, that's what it's called, isn't it?
St. Francis, since they started building there in 1900, I think it was. 19, must have been.
No, it must have been 1980.
You do the math.
Something.
Ironically, let me tell you this: I was the maths teacher and the computer science teacher.
Okay.
But my illness in the brain cells that affected means
Affect
that
your maths.
I can't do maths.
Your numbers.
I can't do numbers. I can't.
That's why you say 1900. You weren't born in 1900.
Well, I let other people do the work for me.
80. It's probably 87, 88, 80, somewhere around there that they started to do that stuff there in St. Francis.
Yeah.
I think it was, yeah.
No, the first building there was in 1900, I'm sure of that.
Okay, in St. Francis, okay, yeah. It must have been a farmhouse.
And there's actually been 4 fires.
Okay.
There's the big fire and there's been 3 little fires.
Okay,
In that complex.
Yeah. Are there any things on your bucket list that you still want to do?
I have never been to Paris.
Paris?
I've never been to... I've been to Britain and I've been to Europe and I've been to the East and I've been to South America and I've been. That's from a guy who hadn't been on a plane.
Yeah.
When I finished school here, I've now been all over the place, but I've not been to Paris. So that would feature on my bucket list.
Yes.
I have not been. And this is maybe the top. I've not seen the Victoria Falls.
Oh,
I want to see the water falling over the falls, and I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
You're going to go rapid shooting there. They'll strap
I'm
you in,
scared of
buddy.
water.
They'll strap you in, mate. Give you an aqua lung and off you go. Cheers, Ed. Oh my soul.
I want to see Victoria Falls.
Okay.
I would love to see my American family.
Yes. Okay.
There's a whole bunch of family that live there. I want to see them again before I go.
I love it. Okay, what's your guilty pleasure?
My guilt is stealing the chocolates out of my wife's fridge.
There we go. You check chocolates.
Trying to ensure that she doesn't see that the chocolates have got. She hides in the little places in the fridge. And I try and steal them so that she won't notice.
Is she Italian? Is she?
No, Piera is actually Greek, I think.
Greek. No, it's the same. The brother and sister of the Italian. They like to keep the things, safe from prying hands.
Yes, well, my wife isn't always successful with the chocolate cupboard.
Long fingers.
Because she's got a pantry for a cupboard. Right. You open the door and you look inside and the light goes on, all really fancy. And then I try and do it so that she can't hear the door opening.
Oh yeah. Lots of cute twinkies.
And then I try and steal the chocolates that she doesn't notice that there's a gap. And next morning, so who was in the chocolate box?
Here's a story here. Check Rob Taylor. When Ed was single and the Ryan Roadhouse was a Wendy house, a few of us rocked up at 2 a.m. in the morning, strictly sober. We drank Rod McClellan's beers that were stored in Ed's fridge and left Dickie Ogilvy's stock. It's too late for sorry, Ed. He says.
You know Dickie Ogilvy?
It's one of Tomo's big mates.
Dickie Ogilvy was my best man.
Okay.
He's in the Karoo. They live in the Karoo. They farm in the Karoo. They live in a place called Doringdraai.
Excellent.
And we've spent many gates and many good times on Doringdraai.
A good amount
It
of
was great.
stories.
A good amount of stories.
Yeah. Alec Riddle saying, greetings, Ed Lunnon. Good to see you even through the TV screen there. P.S. I won't share some of the 80s stories, he says.
Alec Riddle used to
Yes.
board with me in my house. I won't share some of the stories.
Okay. All right, I like these questions. What's your first album that you ever bought? Can you remember?
My first album. You're going to laugh at me.
What
now.
was it?
There was an album that came out that was called The Man on the Moon.
Oh, was that Ballyhoo?
No, it had no music on it. It was all the it was all the tape recordings of the conversation between
Neil
Apollo
Armstrong.
11 and Neil Armstrong. And I bought absolutely. And I listen to this day. I listen to
Really?
it.
That must be rare, man. You know? It's like, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Absolutely.
But it was all faked, that whole thing, eh?
No, well, that's what some people.
No, it can't be there.
No.
That's
I've
amazing.
been to NASA. I've sat in that machine. It's much smaller than you think it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, but musical album now then.
Musical album was
Music.
Hot August Night.
Oh, Neil Diamond.
Neil Diamond. Hot
Oh.
August Night.
No, we like that. Yeah,
And
you
I
like
had the double LP
Yeah.
long player.
Longfellow's Serenade.
Ironically, it's Pera's first LP that she also bought.
Oh, is it the same one? So you like a bit of Neil Diamond there?
No, Neil Diamond.
Did you have the
actually.
long hair and the shirt down to your belly button?
No.
You didn't go for that stuff. It was Safari Park and... Okay, we've asked you if you've collected anything, but do you have a talent that people would be surprised to hear about?
Most people don't know that I can play the organ.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I can play the organ.
Really?
Yes, and I can play the piano.
Have you had a go at the Feather Market Hall?
I've not got the invite to the Feather Market Hall. I've actually touched the keys of that organ.
Have you?
Yes,
Eh?
yeah.
That's amazing organ, that thing. So it was a bit of organ, a bit of church or what?
No, I did music at school.
Oh, so you played that organ like Deep Purple? What are you talking about? Or?
No, I need music to play by.
Okay.
I can't play by ear.
Okay.
I need music
To read it.
You've got to be able to read it and play.
It's like maths. Yes, it is like doing maths.
You need the book. You need the book.
Okay, the most annoying question that people ask you regularly.
So are you still walking?
Fair enough. He's still walking.
So are you still walking?
Yeah.
The problem with the radio program that we had so long
Yes.
ago, it was under the impression that
Yes.
I was going to knock over and die within
Yes,
the next
any minute.
Any minute.
And
Because
you
of course
did
that's
it.
what the man was talking about, and the doctor said that. And here he is, and they look at you
Still
and say,
50.
but you
There's bugger all wrong with him.
absolutely, the man's trying to claim from the insurance policy.
There's bugger all wrong with him, man.
Absolutely,
He's
and
in 5 years. It's still, he's still here.
So where has this actually affected you? What's wrong with you?
Oh my word, Ed, you've got to have a sense of humour about this stuff.
You've got to have a sense of
Yeah.
humour. You've got to have a sense of humour.
That is crazy, yeah.
Sometimes difficult, but yeah.
All right, well, was there a moment when there was no turning back? Which would you say that moment was?
I haven't reached that moment yet.
Not yet.
No, not yet. I've got a book that I started writing
Good.
of life in your final years and how
Yeah.
one handles it.
Okay.
I'm nowhere close to
Yeah.
the final years.
Yeah. But you certainly think you would have to think about it. I mean, everybody has to think about it, but in your case, you almost have been forced into thinking about it a lot sooner.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Are you good at keeping secrets?
No, it takes a long time to answer. It's no.
I must say, it's Gary busy chirping in the background.
Yes, he says if it takes you a long time to answer, it's no.
What was the question?
Are you good at keeping secrets? Well, you certainly kept Alec Riddle's secrets.
There are one or two secrets.
Okay.
There are one or two secrets.
All right. That will go to the grave.
That will go to the grave.
Okay. So you're okay at keeping secrets, but you have a way of deciding which one stays and which one goes.
Absolutely.
Okay, I love that. What's an example of a mistake or failure that you experienced, and what did you learn from it? You done anything made it better?
I sold my house in St. Francis Bay.
Ah, there we go. Denise, he sold his house after he burnt it there with the bride.
I sold my house in St. Francis Bay, and in retrospect, it was not the wisest decision.
Okay. You should have rather kept.
Kept the PE house.
Yeah, sold the PE house.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Or other ways. We spoke about earlier about thinking and making decisions and whatever else.
Yes.
I didn't pay my attention to properly, cleverly deciding where to move.
Okay. Oh, that's an interesting one, because I mean, obviously, you're thinking of the quality of life now that you would have in St. Francis as opposed to the work in PE, or it's like, were you thinking of work or were you thinking of fun?
No. I've seen our St. Francis Bay had become the centre of our family and what it meant to our family. And going there and spending time and going on the canals and going water skiing and whatever else.
Yes.
And not being able to afford it when I stopped working, because I suddenly had one salary. I had to pay for two houses. But in retrospect, there are ways of could have handled that. And kept even both houses if one really thought about it properly as to what you're wanting to do. But when you come back to the question, if you tell us you're going to live in it for 5 years, are you really wanting to buy a house?
Yeah, it's true. Or you keep a house, but I mean, what you say there is almost that fear factor makes you make those impulsive decisions. Do you think it's that?
And also being told you've got 5 years. And just get rid of your stuff and whatever else. I think that was maybe the deciding point in saying, right, let's just sell up type of thing.
Yeah, that is, it's a hectic decision, and like I said, it's like almost you think you make these decisions on a fearfulness, or do you make these decisions? Have you got to stand back? I mean, everybody's going to make decisions like this in their life at some stage. And
what is important, what I didn't do, is to actually sit down and work it out. And not make a rash decision.
Yes.
I think that was the problem with that particular purchase. Think it out, think it clearly before you make a decision, positives and negatives.
Yes. So do you do that? I mean, you stick positives on one side, negatives on the other side, and work it all out?
We at one stage we were thinking of emigrating to the United States.
Oh wow!
We had a post on the back of our bedroom door, and you had advantages and disadvantages. Okay. Whenever you thought of something, you had to put it on the box. Well, mother-in-law won the so we stayed.
Okay. No, I'm staying as well. I mean, I'm not.
Are we going to pull the plug on the canals?
The canals
are we going to leave before the canals, or the canals going to leave
before us? We don't know. We don't know how it's going to go. Now, Gary's got a question here as well. How do you compare the option of dropping dead unexpectedly one day versus having a long time to contemplate your own death? I mean, it's true that with a diagnosis like this, you've got to have contemplated that too.
One wonders how this thing is going to play off. What does it feel like? When your hands become paralyzed? I often used to say to the doctor, what am I going to feel? Because I felt normal. I walked, I ran, I did my exercises, whatever. And gradually your body is weaning away. But I wanted to know what it's going to feel like. I couldn't understand why things, what it would feel like if things started going around. I can now tell you, go back so many years and tell you what it feels like when you try and put clothes on and you can't even put clothes on anymore.
Is it more frustration or is the physical
frustration?
Pain? Is it pain?
I do have pain, excuse me, but on a very on and off basis. The last 2 days I've been going to the gym.
Okay, all right.
And it's amazing how just 2 days of exercise has actually lifted a bit. So
really?
That's important.
So you better get exercising then.
Yeah, it's important as well.
You know, it's easy to sit on your arse, you know.
have you moved out of that chair yet today?
You got to get out. You got to get out. But especially for you, it's there's that extra challenge, and so you've really got to be strong. And I totally admire your strength of spirit. You know, you've got to have that in your situation.
You know, 1 or 2 things have happened, I suppose, in my life where you haven't made the right decision because you didn't think it through properly. So it is important to weigh the odds up and decide which way you're going. And often we don't do that.
Yeah, that's true.
Did I answer Gary's question?
All right, yes. I think you did. I think you did to a degree there.
I could never be a member of parliament because I'd forget the question.
Oh no, that's all political stuff. No, I think we're going to get to the either ors now.
And there's still more.
We've got short questions now. Don't worry, not too much longer. We won't. These ones are easy, Ed.
Okay, what do I have to do?
You prefer to be either too warm or too cold?
Prefer to be too cold.
Too cold? You prefer too cold rather than overheating all the time?
Yes, I prefer.
Not like the sweaty old.
No.
Good, I like that. Okay, talking or listening?
I think I'm a talker. I think I'm
like to get it out.
Yes, I think I'm a talker.
Nice, I like that. Beatles or Stones?
Beatles.
Introvert, extrovert?
I would say introvert.
Really?
To a large extent.
People, person, but still introvert.
The two are
fight
against each other.
Yes.
But I think often what one does in the introverted side, I forgot.
No. It's like you're social, but you still
absolutely. And sometimes you the introverted side or the introverted side of you takes it to the top.
Okay. Yeah, it does. Yeah. You can have the.
It's
both.
like comedians.
Yes.
They're on stage and they're acting and they're laughing or whatever
else,
and yet when they're off stage they're totally introverted.
Absolutely. Look at Barry. I would describe Barry Hilton like that.
Absolutely.
He's actually an introvert, I think.
Now I want to show you. Can you see my leg?
Yeah.
This muscle is starting to
shake there.
Starting to shake there. Now this is what happens.
Yeah.
I'm running out of dopamine.
Yeah.
I haven't bought spares.
Oh right, okay.
But you can see this is what happens.
Well, we'll get you out of here soon. We've got the either ors there. We're going to go to the would you rathers.
Would you rather?
That's the final ones. 2 or 3 questions here. So, would you rather lose all of your teeth or lose one eye?
All of my teeth.
Okay. You still want that eye?
I still want
Check
that
it out.
eye.
At least you can see the food. Would you rather stick your hand into a shark-infested water or reach your hand into a lion's cage?
Shark-infested water.
Death by shark or death by lion?
Shark-infested water.
You reckon?
Absolutely.
2 bites and you're gone.
Absolutely.
Ed Lunnon, It's been fantastic to have you in the studio. Thank you so much for spending the time. And thank you for giving up your evening to come in at late notice as well. It's been fantastic to have you here.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
It's an absolute pleasure.
I must say, it's the first time I've seen you in a serious role.
I know.
I didn't know you could ever be serious. I'm so used to seeing you in your comedy version of yourself.
You know, Moss.
You know, Moss. I'm
it's
amazed that you can be serious.
Yeah, you also always see me dressed up as some flipping weird. Although this is pretty loud.
I don't like the jacket.
No. I'm okay with that. I'm going to put this back in my ears here because we are finished. And I'm going to put on my microphone here. And it's time of the competition. We've got a competition time. And then it's all over Skadovers. We do sorry? It's not a trip to Paris, unfortunately, but it is a case of Fitch and Leeds. And I'm going to move over to the drum cam. Thank you to our sponsors, Spa and Fitch and Leeds, of course, and Mobi, our internet. They've been fantastic, Nicola and the ladies and the guys there. And then, of course, thank you to Grace for the food as well. We're going to chow some of this on the way out. Hopefully, there's some dopamine in here as well we can give to you. But thank you so much, Ed Lunnon. Now I'm going to switch over now. So I'm going to the drum cam. I'm going to play the song. I want to have the name of the artist and the name of the artist and the song, or the name of the artist or the name of the song, whichever one's first. Whoever's first online, get ready, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the competition coming on. All right, let's do it. Now here's the drum cam. You'll have to block your ears, Ed. It's getting loud in here. All right, there we go. And the name of the artist and the name of the song, whichever one's first. Hit it in the comments and you can win some Fitch and Leeds.
Give me just a little smile. That's all I'm asking you. Give me just a little smile. We got a message for you. Sunshine reggae. Don't worry, don't hurry. Shake it easy. Sunshine reggae. Let the goodbyes gather stronger. Give me just a little smile. That's all I'm asking of you. Yeah. Give me just a little smile. We got a message for you. My God, sunshine reggae. Don't worry, don't hurry. Shake it easy. Sunshine reggae. Let the goodbyes gather stronger. Sunshine reggae. Don't worry, don't hurry. Shake it easy. Sunshine reggae.
Alright, everybody. With camera one again. Alright, here we go. Everybody. Oh, that was sunshine reggae. I know everybody got it right. Probably we'll have to carry it over till the next time. That's fine. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Thank you for Tues and thank you Spa. And thank you for your and of course, when you got up at a punch, got one more spot. Here we go. Cheers, and we'll see you again on Saturday with Vicky and Lance. Don't forget, Saturday, almost 6, we'll see you there.
Relax, sit down. Coming out of PE town. One drink, find a shot. Never mind your liver, get to Gino spot.
Gino spot.
Get to Gino spot.
Gino spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle. Have a Gino shot.
Gino shot.
Get to Gino spot.
Gino spot.
Get to Gino spot.
Gino spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and